Hello, and welcome to the Whyberd Hour, sponsored by Harley St Skin. In this bi-weekly series, Lee and Lesley Reynolds will be bringing you a show of spiritual exploration. Together with Lee and Lesley, you'll explore the mysteries of the afterlife and share stories of hope, healing, and connection with loved ones who have passed. Whether you're a seasoned spiritualist or just curious about the world beyond our own, this show is something for everyone. Over the course of our journey together, Lee and Lesley will be speaking with some of the most renowned mediums, psychics, and spiritual teachers from around the globe, as well as celebrities from stage and screen. We'll delve into topics such as past lives, energy healing, and the power of intuition, and explore how these concepts can help us navigate the challenges of our daily lives. But most importantly, we'll be creating a safe and welcoming space for all who join us. We believe that everyone has the ability to connect with spirit, and we're here to help you tap into your own unique gifts and intuition. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of spirit together.
Hello, Lesley, my darling. How are you?
Hello, T. Do you know what? My brain is really fuzzled today. I'm really well. How are you?
I'm good. Why is your brain so fuzzled?
So much going on. Got so many patients coming in. There's lots of stuff going on at Ballingdon, lots of retreats being booked and lots of retreats that you're writing, lots of work going on there. So it's been so manically busy. But now that I'm talking to you, I'm feeling a lot calmer.
Good. Funny enough, Lesley, I've been traveling. I've been traveling for the whole of January. And you know what I've realized with people this year in 2004? I've realized that everybody's all about motivation at the moment. Everyone that I talk about, they want to get their business in line. They want to get relationships in line, friendships in line. Everything is going full steam ahead. I believe this year for everybody, it's going to be a full steam. I don't mean everybody, but I mean the people that's doing manifestations, doing all different types of spiritual work. They're feeling very motivated. I had people flying from India to see me, from Singapore, from Sri Lanka, and every one of them, I'm feeling this year is very positive.
I feel like that as well, actually. I feel that it sort of got to January when I was feeling a little bit stuck still with 2023. And then suddenly I just burst into action. I woke up one morning at 4:00 in the morning, as I often do, woke up at 4 and I thought, actually, I can do this. I can do all the things that I want to do, which is something that my dad always said to me. So I don't know if that was coming through to my head from him. But I thought, I can do this. And since then, I've been full steam ahead with Ballingdon. We've moved the clinic into new premises, which are wonderful, really lovely. I want you to come and see them really soon. And at Ballingdon, it's just buzzing. It's buzz, buzz, buzz. And even the animals are really prolific. We've got lots of new babies.
Have you?
Yes. Oh, yeah, lots of deer, lots of chickens, lots of babies.
Funny enough, the retreat I want to write about Ballingdon that I'm going to write, it's about spiritual awakening, because I believe this year more people have become spiritual awakening. And I want to write about breath work as well. So it'd be spiritual awakening with breath work to find the better you. So I believe...
Can you explain what breath work is to me? Because I'm not really sure.
So it's a lot of different ways of breathing exercises. So if you get anxiety, they do it for anxiety, but they also do it to manifest things into their life. Breath work is over a huge line of different things. So menopause, everything you think of, breath work helps with you. Different breathing of techniques brings in different things to people's lives. So if I wanted to manifest something, I do a different kind of breath work for it. I'm not specialized in breath work at all, but I work with a lot of people that does breath work. And it's very important. And I do believe between spirituality and, of course, breath work is about spirituality as well. It brings in the better you. It will bring in the better of people to realize what we need in our life. People think, Lesley, even some spiritual people, they think that life will just drop in your lap. If you're working spiritually and you're doing one little thing, life will just drop in your lap.
Mm.
They don't realize the work you've got to put into spirituality, the work you've got to put dedication into your manifestation and believing in everything.
So when I breathe, I do breathe always before I meditate. I always do breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just breathe in for so many seconds, I hold it, and then I breathe it out longer. Or another one I do is I do like a square. So I breathe up to the square, hold it, go across the top, hold it, down the side, hold it, and across. So
I've never heard of that.
I probably made it up.
No, I think it, I believe sometimes it's not we making it up. I believe it's spirit stepping in and telling us what to do.
Yeah.
And how to do it.
Yeah.
Now, every morning I do a prayer. And I do 2 lots of prayers every morning, but I also do my mantras. The mantra that I do, I think, is my form of manifestation, but not manifestation. It's my manifestation to my to the higher source.
Yeah.
I always say to the spirit world. But I do the full line of the beads. The rose, some people would call them the rose beads. I call them my manifestation beads. So what I do is I work from the Kundalini. So I work from the root chakra, and every bit of the mantra I do, it opens up every chakra to get me open right up in the morning. As then, after I've opened right up, that's when I ask spirit to start channeling through me for all my sessions. I ask them to bring in spirit. I ask the spirit loved ones of the people that's come in to come and acknowledge to me. So it's my way of opening right up to the spiritual world. But I'm more interested in this square. So what made you bring up this square? It is a form of you meditating and manifestation. But what is the square?
The square. Do you know, I think it was because my parents were so spiritual. I think it was something that my dad used to do. And it's something that I've always done. I mean, the other thing he used to always do is say to us, lay on the floor, and make your legs, you started with your feet. Your feet were really heavy. You couldn't feel them, and you went up through your body for relaxation. But it was... And I do the square quite a lot, actually, particularly at night. And I find what it does is it just relaxes me. I don't know. Yeah. The other thing I do is this theta. I've been trying this theta healing, as I spoke to you about, which is a lot to do with breathing. But I always use breathing to help to calm my anxiety if I'm anxious or if I'm sad or if I meditate. I always start with breathing, but I don't know a lot about it.
Jen, you just pointed on something, because if you think about your dad, how many years ago was that when he used to have you laying on the floor? There's a reason I'm asking you this.
Well, he passed away nearly 12 years ago.
So you were talking about, say, about 40, 50 years he used to have you doing that exercise of breathing.
He was I'm 70 now, as you know, and I was a child, and he was very, very, I think, forward-thinking because he always exercised every day and he always did meditation and relaxation. So he's very, very in the forefront. I mean, this has been forever, hasn't it, really, spirituality? But in those days, people didn't. Really,
very few and far between. That's why I find very interesting, because in those days they didn't really, did they? And you was London, wasn't you? You was born in London.
He was born in London, yeah, and he was in the Air Force. He was a Brill Cream boy, so he was in the Air Force. Yeah. I think because he'd been through quite a lot in the war. He joined it when he was very early. He had a very troubled childhood. His father died when he was 2. He was a regular soldier in Cairo, and then his brother died during the war, and the forces wouldn't let him go to the funerals. So I think he went through a lot, as they all did. It was a terrible time, wasn't it, really, for the whole world, for every nation. But it made him, I think, into a much more spiritual person and a very, very kind, giving person. So he would do all these things to help us with our life's journey, I think.
I think that's amazing, because I was, as you know, I was brought up very spiritual, but we never done meditation. We never done any of this until later on. So I think for your father at that age to be, in that time, to be able to teach you how to do he was doing breath work with you.
Yeah. He was incredible. And his great, I was looking at some of his books actually at Ballington. I was moving the books around. We've got some guests coming this weekend. And I like to put books in people's rooms so they've got different things to have a look at. And I was looking at all his books. He was fascinated by Egypt, and I was looking at his research. He used to cross-reference everything. And he very much believed in life after death, and he believed in reincarnation. So I think he was my mother would always say he was a very learned man.
Yes, because for that time, that is amazing. My mother always wanted to get up there faster than she should have. She ended up going up there at 63, but she used to go up there faster than she should have. She always said, she used to say to me, she used to say it's in the most beautiful, beautiful place. My mother, she always stayed at a picture of a shepherd with sheep. And if she talked to the picture, it would literally move. Do you know, like the 3 degree? But it wasn't 3 degrees, but it would move.
Yeah. No, I've never seen that. It's fascinating, though.
So, motivation. So I'm waiting for our guests when our guests come on, and I've had a quick look about it. I don't really know this guest. I don't think you do either, Lesley.
So he wanted to talk to us about his autism and about his superpower, as he calls it, his superpower. And I'm very interested in that because, as you know, 2 of my grandchildren are autistic.
Yeah.
So my little grandson Freddie and my little granddaughter Josephine, and it's been something that before I had them, I didn't really understand autism very well, and I didn't understand the huge degrees of autism. And my husband, Dr. Khan, he's always said that the human brain, or as our mankind are developing, they will go to different levels. And because now we're so, we're led by the internet, our life is so different. Children are all the time being fed, well, you see kids, if you go out, don't you, sitting there with with the phone on to entertain them, or a little tiny laptop thing. And I think quite rightly, this is interesting, that as we develop, we are going to need different skills. And we're going to have different skill sets.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite controversial, but I think that actually I tend to agree that autism is the next level of our development, and it would probably take thousands of years because it takes a long time to develop, as we did, if you look at the Middle Ages, how different we are now, and 200 years ago, if somebody flicked a light on, they would have thought it was trickery, and they would have thought that it was something that was evil or witchcraft. And I think autism, I do believe that, and as Alma says, when anything is changing and being developed, you get so many different varieties until you get what you're actually looking for. So development is difficult. So some people are severely autistic, can't communicate. Some people are autistic, but they're highly communicative, and they also have a very, very sort of focus on one thing. So what I notice with, say, my grandchildren is with Freddie, that he focuses so well on something that he becomes almost an expert in it. Yeah. So, for instance, it started with dinosaurs, which lots of kids do, and he knew every dinosaur's name. He knew what they would want to eat. He was very animated about it. His next thing that he went on to was sewers, and he became, he's 5, became really, really interested in sewers. And in fact, for Christmas, he wanted pipes because he wanted to make his own sewers, and he does. So the garden is full of pipes. My daughter's wonderful that she does this. I don't know that I'd be able to cope with it. But the garden is full of a sewer system, and he puts water down it and leaves and balls and sees where they go to, and explains to me about sewer systems. And he thinks things are nonsense because he's very focused on things. If it's something that he thinks is irrelevant to life, he says, well, that's just nonsense, or that's ridiculous. So why are you talking? Why are you saying that? You know? So it's a very interesting subject. And I think it also, he's very already tuned in because he would talk to me about my mother. The other day he told me about Phyllis. Well, you know, obviously he's never met her. She's been passed for 9 years. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, do you know, Lesley, I have a lot of clients, and especially living in the Middle East, working in the Middle East. I have a lot of clients come in, and older clients, and when I'm working on them, like their sister will bring them in and say to me, he doesn't communicate very well with us, he doesn't do this, but he's very good at picking up languages. He watches, different TV to do with languages. And I've said to him, have you really gone and had him tested for autism?
Yeah.
And they go and have him tested and find out. And one of my friends I become friends with, especially in Dubai, she got a school for autism children now. And and do you know, Lesley, she's not a doctor. So we would call her a therapist. In England, we would call her a therapist. She'll sit in a room with the child for a half hour, and she can tell the family what stage of autism that person have got.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Spiritually, I can pick up on people with autism. I had a Chinese client that her son was in China and she was in the Middle East working, and they couldn't understand his behavior. And he came on the Zoom to me one day. I said straight away, he got autism. I said, you can tell by the behavior. You are right. Because there's different ways of the autism. And like Freddie is a playful child as well, isn't he? And he's very forward.
Very playful. So he does communicate when he wants to. I mean, he speaks beautifully, but he'll communicate with you if he wants to. But if he's really not interested in you, he won't. But he plays, and he plays jokes and he laughs. But he's just got this brain that focuses on maths. He loves maths, very good at maths, and with anything structural. So anything that he can make, and he can understand how it works, and he makes things work. I mean, I couldn't do some of the things that he does. But my little granddaughter, she's a delight, very playful as well, but very to the point. I will sometimes say to her, "Hello, Josephine," and she'll say, "No, thank you," which I don't want to speak now.
I don't want to
quite like that because there's no point in pushing it, is there?
Do you would you ever consider doing something in Ballingdon Hall to do with autism to bring awareness to it? I think that'd be something very good. Because as we both know, years ago that wouldn't have been picked up on. People wouldn't have known what that was. The schools didn't know what dyslexia was.
No. Both my sons are dyslexic as well, and I think I'm dyslexic. But my daughter thinks I'm also autistic, and I think I probably am. Do you remember saying to me, "You don't like lots of people around all the time"? I escape sometimes. Sometimes I just need to get away from it all. So I probably am on the spectrum myself.
I'm, as you know, I'm dyslexic, and you find a way around working with the dyslexia. You don't give up, and you find a way around. But I think it's very hard. And when I was in school, you're going to find it's quite strange, because when I was in school, and I was from the age of 5. They used to put me up to the top of the class, and I was forgotten about because, one, I had thick glasses, I had really bad eyes, So, I should have had more attention because my eyes was very bad. But secondly, because I was dyslexic, the teacher would have all the favourites down the front. And we didn't know he was dyslexic then, and all the dyslexic ones, we were all chucked out the back.
I had a similar thing. I was top of the class in my infant school and my junior school, and then as things got harder and I needed more help, I didn't get it. I didn't get the help that I needed. And but in some ways, it's the same as you. You and I have been, very successful in our working lives, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, we've got nothing lacking in lots of ways. I think it makes us more determined.
Yes, it does.
To actually succeed.
Do you also think being spiritual, it gives you more, what I think is being spiritual, and, I give you readings and I read, as you know, for tens of thousands. But do you feel that the spirituality gives us more courage to get out there and do it?
Yeah, I do, because you feel that you've got support, don't you? You feel that you've got people rooting for you, and I think they do send messages, don't they? That help. I think that's a fact, And I know I will often say to you, if I'm wondering, should I be doing this or should I be doing that in my business? And I know you help a lot of business people with what when you're wondering and you need someone to talk to. So when my parents were alive, I would have always spoken to them about things I was doing. They had their own businesses. And they were very successful. I've taken more help from you than anybody else. And also you give me messages from them as well. And you say, I'm speaking to Phyllis here and she's also agreeing with me. So I think spirituality can really help you. It can sometimes just give you that little bit of confidence to take a step that you're thinking, shall I, shan't I?
Yeah.
And then I think that gut feeling, people talk about the gut feeling. I think that's spirituality as well, isn't it, really?
I was talking to, going on to the gut feeling, because you are right. I was talking to someone yesterday and I was giving them a reading and they said, how will I know if it's the right thing to do? I said, well, your gut will tell you.
Yeah.
Your gut will tell you straight away. Because if you walk past someone, have you ever walked past someone in the street and you think, oh, I don't like the feeling of that person? Yeah. And then you can walk past somebody else and you'll think, God, that person feels really nice, a very nice, caring person. It's all about your gut. And your gut comes from your intuition, from your spirituality.
I agree with that. And I think it's, for me, I use it a lot. I use my gut all the time. And every time I haven't followed my gut, it's been a disaster.
Something goes wrong.
Yeah. But I meditate for that. So, Lee, when I'm feeling about I need to really think about something, I will meditate. I'll do my little square box breathing, and then I meditate. And I feel inside me, what is the right thing to do here? And sometimes it can be in life. It could be about the children, or other times my gut will say to me, don't do this. I think, I think this would be a good idea. And my gut will instantly go, no, don't do it. Do you ever hear as well? I'm sure you do, but sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No,
but sometimes I actually hear somebody say something to me, and I think, and it always happens.
Yeah. I can think I'm going to go and have, not a meditate. I do think sometimes I'm going to go and have a lay down. I'm going to just take some time out for myself. And all of a sudden I will hear a voice, or I will just see one huge vision.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a vision I don't want to see. And I think, oh, I don't want that to happen. And then sometimes the vision is, you got to get up and you got to go and you got to listen to your gut feeling. You got to go with this. I remember when we owned a a nightclub, talking about like visions or voices. When we owned a nightclub, I said to Spirit one day, this is going back 20 odd years ago, I'm ready to move on from this. And that's all I could say. I sat in a chair, it was in a wing chair, and I sat down and I thought I'd nodded off to sleep. And that's all I could see was me driving out to the car park of this nightclub, but every leaf was off the tree. Now that was in the January. Somebody come in the February and asked to buy the nightclub. And it took 10 months for that sale to go through. And when I drove out to the nightclub when I'd sold it, and I was driving out of it with my godfather, not with Tin, which I found very strange because me and Tin owned it together.
Yeah.
When it sold, I got up one morning. It was the warmest winter we had in many years. And when I got up in the morning, every leaf was off the tree. And I said to Tinnis, today the contract's going to get signed.
And it was.
And it was signed. I drove out with my godfather, and Tin stayed there to hand everything over. And then Tin came behind me.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's funny and when you said you do the square, you always do, you do the square of the meditation. I find I go into a cave. I like going into a crystal cave and hiding in a crystal cave. And when I'm in the crystal cave, I'll sit on a rock, and then I will find out who's with me and what they've got to tell me. Can I introduce our guest to the show, Bradley Riches? And welcome, Bradley. And can you tell us a bit about yourself, your journey, and your book?
So the book is about how I found out I was autistic when I was 9 years old. And it's based on true events. So obviously, some of it isn't true, but the big events in the book are true. And it's how my parents told me that I was autistic, but in a positive, uplifting way. Because sometimes I feel like a lot in the media and stuff, it's when there's a story about someone being autistic, there's always a bit of a damper and a bad energy around like being autistic and not speaking about it, and it being more of a negative in your life than a positive. So as a child, it was always a bit like a bad stigma around me being autistic. So I didn't tell anyone I was autistic till I was 18, until I felt positive about it and how it helped me to be like creative, how it helped me speak about my special interests as well. So I think having a book, especially it based and directed to children, for them to read that and actually be like, oh my God, this is the first thing that I've ever seen or read about it being used and spoke about in a positive way. And the way my parents told me that I was autistic, they viewed it as a superpower. And some people don't like that term. But as you say, it's being autistic is different for everyone, and everyone can view it in their own way, and it's their own experience as well, which I say in the book as well, because everyone's different, and that's the beauty of being autistic as well. But the way they told me was every weekend they would there was like a magic bucket, and because I loved superpowers, I loved The Incredibles and stuff like that. And inside the bucket there was different superpowers, and I would then like live a day with that superpower. So one of them was like strength, and I had like these big Hulk arms, and I was like knocking down these boxes that looked like bricks and stuff like that. And then the last one being autism. So then it was just viewed as just one of these superpowers, something as empowering, something as positive, something as exciting. So I could view it in that way. And that is how I got told when I was 9 as well.
That's fantastic and very positive and very forward thinking of your parents, really.
Yeah, definitely.
But has it affected you in your life in any ways? Do you feel that it's been difficult for you at all?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's a disability at the end of the day. So obviously there is barriers and there is things that are harder for me than other neurotypical people. But I think seeing the positives and seeing what it's done for me in a positive light, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I wouldn't change who I am. And obviously that's taken time and a lot of like self-development, I think, to say that. But yeah, like, especially in the industry, a lot of the time, like training and being an actor, they always would say like, oh, just smile your way through it. Like, never ask for too much, because you should be grateful for being like getting a job and grateful for being on set. So in my head, I was always like planning just to smile and wave, even if I'm not great, like feeling great and stuff like that. I would just smile my way through it because I should be grateful that I'm there. But when I got my first job, Heartstopper, the first thing they asked me was if I had any like accessibility needs, which is something that training never told me that would be possible. And I just think if like a big network like Netflix can provide that, why can't everyone in everyday life also?
Yeah, that's fantastic, really, isn't it?
No, definitely.
So do you feel that by writing the book, you're trying to educate the public, or is it specifically for children? I want to read it, by the way. Has it been published?
Yes, I've got one, and I think, well, me and Jane are trying to get it republished as well, into like a new version. But yeah, it's so for the book, it's aimed at, in the like the front bit, we say it's aimed at like neurodivergent children as well as parents, family, because a lot of the 4 characters are based on me, my sister, my mum and dad. So it's also seeing that interaction with siblings and interaction with parents, and how one thing your siblings say can help a person accept and see themselves positively. So it's also for parents and teachers. A lot of books sold to like teachers and schools, and they were like doing lessons and talking about it. So yeah, it's just like people who are autistic, neurodivergent, as well as people who want to learn and see where they can help and be more open-minded and positive about.
And I was going to ask you, actually, did it affect you at school? How did you find schooling?
So at school, I was non-verbal, which is, I can't shut up now. So until I was like around 10, just through my whole like I think that's primary school. Yeah. So I didn't speak, and then I would like communicate in different ways, like more physically. And then when I joined a drama group, and that kind of like being other characters, it did take a lot of time, but being other characters, I kind of found my voice. Like I could communicate using my voice, but obviously not speaking for 10 years of my life, I had like a stammer. So it was quite hard in primary school to make friends and make them connections. Because a lot of the time it was like, I didn't want to speak, because if I did speak, I'd have a stammer and people would make fun of it. So I think it did, like, obviously I made 2 good friends. But yeah, it definitely did. It wasn't the easiest in primary school. Also, secondary school was a bit better. But yeah, it was quite difficult, but I made good friends. I'm still friends with 2 of them now. So the 2 friends I made. But yeah, I think I'm not too fussed about that, because primary school friends come and go,
So it's fantastic, actually, that if you think you were non-verbal for nearly 10 years of your life, and now you're out there, you're acting, modelling, writing books. Fantastic. It's all credit to you.
Do you know, Bradley, I've travelled the world doing my mediumship and healing, and I've come across people that are very autistic, and they haven't even been diagnosed that they are, and they family, these are people in their 30s and 40s, and they family bring them into me and say he's not when you just said about talking, quite a lot that I have met do not verbally talk at all. And I spent weeks and weeks on them, each week doing treatment on them, healing treatment. I'm not a scientific doctor, but I do the healing. And at the end, I say to them, I think your brother or whoever it is should go and be diagnosed. And I become friends with a woman that have got a school for autistic children, and she's a healer. She's more than a healer. But she understands autism, so she can be in a room with someone within 15 minutes. She can tell you exactly what level of autism that person has got. And I think it's amazing the way you've, because look at your career already. Your career is growing in a very big way.
Yeah. And are you spiritual, Bradley? Do you have a spiritual leaning at all?
Yeah, so I don't know how much I'm spiritual, but I always is manifestation a part of spiritual?
Yeah.
So I always manifest. I do that. Angel numbers, I always manifest on the angel numbers. And like when my nan passed away, I think she's a robin. Like whenever I see a robin, I know it's her type of thing. So I believe and I connect in them ways, but I don't really know too much about it. My neighbour was a healer as well. She did crystals, and she could. What is it when you can speak to spirits?
Mediumship, because I'm a medium, so it's mediumship.
Yes. So
clairvoyance. Some people call it clairvoyance.
Yeah. So she did that. So she talked to her and spoke to me quite a lot about that. Was ages ago though. So that was in my old house, but yeah, it's very interesting. I love it.
I'm going to come back to something you said about your grandmother being a robin.
Yeah.
They do say in the spiritual world, the easiest way of spirit coming through and showing themselves is through birds. And robin is one of the top birds. So if you believe in it and you feel it's your grandmother, you keep on speaking to it. Doesn't matter how many robins you speak to them.
Yeah. Because it's really weird because when she passed away, because she always loved robins as well, which is kind of ironic. But we put like a robin statue on her grave. So then I always resonate, robin with my nan. And then whenever like I'm upset or having a really bad day, like a robin would come to my window every birthday, every Christmas, like always outside. I'm like, this is really weird. So that's why I believe it. And it's been 9 years and it's happened every year. A robin's been outside of my birthday.
Isn't it? My granddaughter said that about my mum. She says, Phyllis is here because there was a robin in the garden. And
yeah, it's so crazy.
A lot of people associate robins with the spirit, don't they, Lee?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And Bradley, does autism affect relationships? I'm sorry for asking this, but I'm really interested in it because I've worked with it so much and seen it so much. Does it affect you in a relationship at all? Because some people think it does, but me personally, people I've met, I feel can be in very good relationships. And you've got your head right around it all, haven't you?
So yeah, I think with relationships to start with, it can be difficult because it's like communicating in a different way, and obviously you don't want to. In the beginning of a relationship, you don't open yourself up all the way. Like you're not like, this is me, this is da 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 da. So you kind of keep it quite contained about who you are, and then as the relationship progresses, you show more of yourself. So I think in that at the beginning it's quite difficult, but once the person understands you and like gets you, I think it can flourish type thing. But yeah, I think it's just I communicate in a different way than probably a neurotypical person communicates. And I think if the person understands that and loves it about you, then yeah, I think relationships are more than possible and great as well.
Do you ever we spoke about manifestation when you say about the numbers. Do you ever do meditation as well?
No, because I just think I would, but I think I just don't know where to start and don't know what to do. Because I would do, like, I would love to do something like that and be like led by someone, but obviously you can't do that every day. But yeah, no, I would, yeah.
And another thing, do you feel, because picking up on your energy as we're talking, do you feel that you've got quite good intuition, quite good what we call gut instincts? Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, about certain things, definitely. When I have a feeling, I'm like, yes.
Do you get good gut instincts, Lesley?
Me? Do I get good instincts? I think I do, yeah. If I ever do anything that feels wrong in my gut, it always is a disaster. So I very much feel if I feel something and I like it, I would do it. And I feel like that about people as well. I meet people and sometimes I instantly don't like them. I don't want them in my sphere. And I'm always right. So I trust my instincts implicitly.
I was asked yesterday, what's the first thing that I pick up on the red flag on if I was dating? Well, I've been in a relationship for 27 years. But I wish I'd said my gut instinct straight away. I wish I'd brought gut instinct into it. Bradley, I want you to tell us a little bit about, for people that don't know you or should know you and haven't looked up on everything about you, I want you to tell us a little bit about how your journey began with, which come first, the acting or the modelling?
The acting, always the acting. So I joined, like, to bring my confidence up. My nan actually told me to join like a after school club every Wednesday. For act, it was mainly just for confidence, but it was like a local one around the corner, and I went there every Wednesday. And then as I got more confident and I like found my voice and I enjoyed doing it, I was excited to go each week. The drama teacher was like, he's actually good. He could actually do something with this. So then I got on their agency when I was like, I think it was like 13 maybe. And then I got my first Anagen advert. It was an Anagen advert, which was fun. And then so I did that, and then after that it just kind of kept going. It was like I went to a different agency, and then I joined a different theatre group which had like bigger opportunities. It was called the British Theatre Academy, and that's where I learned most of my stuff, because obviously before it was just like a local theatre group, and I was doing it more for like fun and learning the basics. And then with the British Theatre Academy I was using my skills doing shows and stuff like that. And then when I obviously got to 18, I then decided to go to drama school to do a degree in musical theatre. So it wasn't actually acting, it is acting, but musical theatre. And then in my first year I saw an open audition for Heartstopper on Twitter. So I signed up for it, got a couple of recalls, didn't go for the character I was going for. And then season 2 came about when I was in my about to go into my third year. And then they asked me to audition again. Then I got the part. So before I started my third year, so I got the call saying I got the job on the 5th of September, and I was meant to start my third year on the 10th of September. So that week was hectic, being like, I'm not coming back, but let me finish my degree. So then I did all my written work, finished my degree. And then after that I got my acting agent, and then started auditioning, and then filmed a BBC horror series in Ireland this year. And yeah, now I'm here.
when is that coming out?
I don't know if we're allowed to say the date, but it's like spring. So I think we are allowed to say the date now, actually. I know it's coming. The press release is this week. What's the date? No, next week. The press release next week. But it's spring. We're allowed to say that.
Do you like acting? Of course you like acting, but do you come alive when the camera's on you?
Yeah, well, because obviously I was used to training for the stage. So the first time in the camera, it was quite scary, and it's quite like no one claps for you. you do it, and they're like, yeah, let's do that again. Let's try this. And you're like, oh, okay. And then after you finish the scene, once they like, that's a wrap on the scene, then they go, oh, well done. but it's just a bit like you have to wait a whole year for anyone to see it. Whereas on a stage, you get immediate, like, that was great. So yeah, it's a whole different weird world, and it can be nerve-wracking. Like, I still get nervous now because it's like you think, so if you think too much into it, then the performance isn't great. So I just try and just be in the moment, say my lines, make it as truthful, as natural as possible. And that's all. It's a different like ball game type thing.
Tell us about your modelling.
Well, the modelling, this is actually the start of it. So with the modelling, it came from obviously being on Heartstopper and getting that, like, what's the word? Like, is it recognition? Yeah. Getting the, like, people obviously getting to, like, knowing me. Yeah. And from that, it was more like brands would reach out. And then I did a couple of magazine covers as well. So yeah, it was just from that really, and it's something that I want to do more. So hopefully this year I do a bit more with that.
It's amazing what you've done and how well you've come along in the last 10 years. I think your parents must be so proud of you.
Yeah, they are.
Are you proud of yourself?
Pardon?
Are you proud of yourself? Do you feel?
Oh no, definitely, yeah.
Good, because that's important, isn't it, Lee? We often don't recognise what we've achieved.
Yeah. And I never look back when people say to me, when people message me on, because I'm terrible, Bradley, at social media, absolutely awful. I'm getting a bit better. It's my age. But when people message me from years ago and they say to me, I'm so proud of the way you've come, or your parents would be very proud of you if they were alive to see what you've done. So well done, Bradley. That's absolutely amazing. I want to, you're an influencer. Can I ask you about that as well? Because I like to know everything about the person, every little detail about you.
So with like influencer, it's kind of obviously with the modelling as well. So it's like when I got this social media presence from the show, because obviously it's quite a big fan base, and like brands would ask me to. I would only do it if I like the brand, obviously. But people would send me like products that if I like them, if I like use them, to then share with my followers type thing. And from that as well, I've been able to like work with charities as well, which I'm very grateful for. And like influencing people to look into these charities or donate if they can, or like just publicize these charities so that more people get to know them and people might run marathons for them. So it's influencing in that way. It's just the beliefs and morals that I have about like companies or charities. It's just sharing that openly and then influencing people to read into it or learn more about it, which is the same about my book as well. So I had to kind of publicize and influence people to read the book and put on like extracts of the book to influence them to either buy the book or get the audio book. So that's how influencing really works. But it's kind of just being yourself, and if people like it, then they'll look into it type thing.
What's the future going to bring? What have you got lined up for the future for yourself?
Well, I've got something lined up, but I'm not allowed to say. Jane will kill me.
You know, Lee, don't you? You can probably tune in.
I could do if I needed to, but I don't think it's. I think you've got to keep it. You got to keep it private for his. Well, no one's to know what's happening. So the big reveal will come out then, won't it, Bradley?
Yes, very soon.
Good. So, Bradley, I'm going back because I like to jump back and forth. I'm going back to your neighbour that was very spiritual. Did she ever give you a reading?
No, I was quite young, so I didn't know. But I think my mum had one. I think my mum and dad went round one day and had one. Yeah, but no, I was quite young. I was like 10, I think. So it was not anything that I would really be excited about, really. Yeah.
Have you ever done any sort of healing?
No, never.
That's good. That's good. Well done. Well, Bradley, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to run through this same thing again. That is Bradley Richards, and he's a model, actor, author, and influencer. But Bradley, there is one more thing. Sorry, if people want to reach out to get your book, what's the best way that they can get it?
Either it's in my Instagram bio or Amazon, anything online, really.
Okay, Bradley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And well done.
Thank you.
What a lovely boy.
Yes, what an absolutely lovely boy. A pleasure to speak to and a joy to be around. I spent some time with him and he's lovely.
And it's funny how if you really wanted, the way his parents have got him to where they are now, which is absolutely amazing. It's funny how you can do it. If you need to do it, you can do it. I was with someone last week and he said to me, I'm sure you got autism. And I said, he said to me, I'm sure you got it. Because my mind jumps, as you know, But I always put it down to my spirituality because my mind jumps. And he said, you should really go and get, you should go and get tested. And I said, I don't want to be tested because if I got it, I'm coping with it very well.
Yeah.
Well, my Lesley, this comes to the end of another one of our lovely shows. I just want to say to people out there, so if you do need some sort of guidance in any way, you can also go, as we know, to get tested by the hospitals or with the doctors. But you can go to specialists that can tell you if you got it and what stage you got it in. I don't want to be tested because I love my spirituality and I believe perhaps that's why I'm very highly spiritual. But thank you for joining us. Thank you from me.
And thank you from me. It's been lovely speaking to you again, Lee, and I'll see you soon.
And you, my darling, and we will be back with you with another guest within the next week. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you to you all for listening. Please message Lee on Instagram at Lee_Whyberd. That's Lee_Whyberd. LEE_WHYBERD. And that's if you have any suggestions for topics to discuss or you would like to inquire about a reading. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, stay curious and stay spiritual.